Hello, my name is Cynthia Novak, and this is the planets and you for the fall of 2014. There's so much going on that we can't just separate 1 month at a time. October is probably the most intense, but as the flow goes from month to month, I hope you will stay and listen with me too. When I talk about Vedic astrology, this is the astrology of India, and what we use this for is predictions. What are the big events? What is the strength of the planets rather than the personality? This fall, there are so many powerful things happening. 2 eclipses in October and tense aspects. And I want to start with the good stuff. First of all, I expect this fall to be one of prosperity, and I expect it to be one where Venus, or things that have to deal with love, money, beauty, even things like perfumes, or even better than that, the mix of nature, things like essential oils that soothe and calm. I expect those businesses to be very strong. Why? Because Venus is enormously strong, particularly from mid-October through mid-November. Venus is also a planet of the heart, love, compassion, but never forget that Venus's stone is diamonds and things that are, of course, very precious. But I also see in November, right around the election, we may begin to see a downturn in the stock market. Many people feel the market move because the market is based on emotion. And one of the most intense emotions this fall is fear. Fear of what will come, fear of the future. Physicists know that the difference between human consciousness and animal consciousness is one specific, big, shocking difference. We are concerned about the future. They respond to nature. They nest when they need to. They migrate when nature tells them. But we, with our big cerebral cortex and our plans for providing for our children, providing for the future, we are very concerned with what comes. And so there's a wobble because of the threats that may very well become real from ISIS in the Middle East. It is no longer over there. We are now coming together to deal with it here and take it there. So what do you see? We will see many places preparing for national emergency. That sets up a wobble. But the emphasis on the word preparing. There's also, in the month of October, there are 3 big things happening. One is a lunar eclipse. Now, lunar eclipses are emotional. What is a lunar eclipse? Well, actually, the reflected light of the sun onto the moon is blocked. And so what we see is emotions have to shift, if you will. There's a lot of chatter in the world, and we feel this big emotional catharsis. To say that this is a new feeling is an understatement, because I've been saying this month after month since we've started doing this, but this is a time period where we can really see our fears heighten and realize that we have to figure out something to do about them. We can't just wait for another transit or something to take them away. So my message to you is breathe. Breathe as if you realize that your life depends on it. Breathe to relax. Breathe as if there's a giant chorus of breathing people and animals on this planet. Breathe to calm the stress, and breathe to open your heart to be aware of the beauty around you, not just waiting for a perfect moment. The lunar eclipse falls on October 8th, and I'm talking to you from Texas, and it falls at 5:50 a.m. Central Daylight Time. I don't know that we'll be able to see it because it's right before sunrise, but we will be able to feel it. It is a total lunar eclipse. Also in October, starting October 4th through October 25th, Mercury goes retrograde. Anyone who knows a little bit of astrology knows that retrograde Mercury periods are synonymous with difficulties in communication, struggles in conversation, and basically it seems like nothing goes the way you plan. It's actually a wonderful time to set aside your phone, to turn off your calendar, and to literally allow yourself time to be quiet. In that time, breathe. Breathe deep, breathe consciously, and please be aware that when your schedule is super full, it's really, really hard to relax and to take in the beauty that's around you. It's also important right now because, it's also important right now because we are fearful of what could come. We are fearful of terrorist attacks, and we are fearful of what could come. In this month before a presidential election, there's going to be tons of hyperbole. We can count on scandals, we can count on stress, and we can count on our own mental wobble, if you will, to set us off balance. So, look around and see what sets you off, where the wobble came in you. There's no better time than October and this fall to relive it and to set yourself free. It's not really what happens, it's what we think about, how often we think about it. And if there's something from your past that keeps coming up, face it and let it go. October is also the time of a partial solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse on October 23rd may be pivotal for war. I hope that's not true, and I truly do not want to put any emphasis on it. But as we leave the month of October and go into the end of this year, it is very important to be aware without filled with anxiety or being wary of everything. So, but I said there was good stuff. Jupiter is the planet of love, relationships. He's the planet of abundance. He's the planet of politics. And you know, if you listen to these, particularly the one I did on Will the U.S. Go to War, you know that I've often said that this is a time period where there will be unusual alliances formed, strange partnerships. And we've seen that already when we see who were enemies now coming together to fight a foe that is more ghoulish or more barbaric than those before us. And we will continue to see that happen. Jupiter is in a lunar mansion. In Vedic astrology, they call them nakshatras, little segments of the heavens that are just 13 degrees, 20 minutes apart. How far the moon moves any 24-hour period. And Jupiter stops in one called Aslesha. Aslesha can be about betrayal. The image is a man with two faces. But it is also the way we look at things from two different sides. Our work side, our private side, our side with our children, our side with God. I mean, the different sides of us. And that's also what's coming up. But if you look at it from a global perspective, we will see many people from many different sides. Just when you're absolutely sure you know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, you find out that the bad guy has good and the good guy has bad. I mean, this is a theme that's going on throughout this fall. Jupiter hardly moves at all, just a few degrees in the heavens. Astrologers have been talking about a stressful aspect that many Hindu astrologers do not even consider. The outer planets Uranus and Pluto, they are square or stressed. Every time this happens, we have huge social change. Things like Social Security came into effect, things like revolution in the late 60s. This is that type of time. And if you say, I want everything to go back the way it was before, then you're missing the opportunity for the old to shake away and for you to reach up for something bigger. The last aspect from this will come in March of 2015. So we are in the final phase. And sometimes it's really hard to see the change around us as good or in some way beneficial. But here we go. I also believe that ISIS or ISIL will be hit hard, particularly in the first quarter of 2015. That war may go on for 2 to 2.5 years. First half of 2016, very intense, but I do not see it lingering for decades. And that is the good news. The dates that I am most concerned about are actually the day before Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve. So, when we're so busy, we're out in the world, we're gathering things, we're going, we're here and there, and we're everywhere. Breathe. Be aware. If the little voice says to you, yes, no, stay, go, don't go forward, stop here. If you begin to practice now, you will be ready to trust it and sense any dissonance in the energy to guide you. And that inner guidance is ultimately where your safety lies. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in person and in 2015.